Revealed, the incredible story of a young man who chose his adopted sister over biological blood. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, laughter rumbled through the local diner, where the smell of bacon and fresh coffee mingled with the sound of clattering plates. Everyone gathered there. It was home, a place stitched together with the threads of shared stories and familiar faces. Among that warmth was Jake, a determined 22-year-old whose life revolved around his adopted sister, Mia. Growing up together, they forged an unbreakable bond that transcended traditional definitions of family. Their lives were a symphony of summer barbecues, game nights filled with raucous laughter, and quiet moments under a sky painted with stars. Jake often balanced two jobs, the greasy diner and a local landscaping gig, his dreams of college dancing just out of reach. He would smile through the exhaustion, knowing that every late night and early morning brought him closer to breaking free from the constraints of small-town life. Mia was his anchor, her laughter like a melody that soothed the worries gnawing at his chest. But life, unpredictable as ever, threw a wrench into their plans. The diagnosis came like a thunderclap, a sudden medical crisis. Mia needed a kidney transplant, and the world around Jake started to crumble. His heart ached not just for her suffering, but for the impending choice he faced. Could he donate his kidney? The thought of sacrificing his scholarship weighed heavily on him. This was the dream he had worked for. Yet could he turn his back on the promise of family? As whispers circled through town, he felt the weight of judgmental eyes. Little did they know how hard he had fought for their respect, and for Mia, who had always been the one to stand by his side. With each passing day, he felt time slip through his fingers like sand. The community that had once felt warm now constricted around him like a vice. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jake's mind raced as he decided to donate his kidney anonymously, thinking it would spare Mia any hurt. But this act of love spiraled into confusion. Their adoptive parents felt cast aside, their worry ignored. How could you do this without us? They demanded, voices trembling with hurt. Jake's heart sank, torn between love and loyalty, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The community watched as Jake gathered strength from the depths of his soul, confronting not only the scorn of outsiders, but the expectations of those closest to him. I'm not just a boy from this town, he thought, standing taller than he had ever felt. The question loomed large. Would his sacrifices be in vain? But when the possibility of losing Mia loomed closer, he felt the anchors of his heart pulling him toward her, igniting a resolve he never knew existed. Could he sew together the frayed edges of their family bond? The stakes had never been higher, and as whispers turned into storms of discontent, he braced himself for the hardest fight of his life. What would happen when the spirit of family and the weight of sacrifice merged into one unyielding force? The answers lay just beyond reach, but Jake knew one thing: love was worth every struggle. As he took that breath, both trembling and hopeful, the road ahead promised challenges and perhaps a glimmer of unity among the chaos. Jake stood alone in the cramped hospital waiting room, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like an uninvited guest. The echoes of hospital life surrounded him, blending the anxious murmurs of families and the beeping machines into a symphony of despair. His heart raced with uncertainty. It felt like every beat was a tick against the clock, each second taking him further away from the time he had left with Mia. He clenched his fists, the dampness of sweat betraying his calm facade. Yet, a flicker of determination shone in his eyes. Mia had always stood by him, encouraging his dreams and whispering words of hope when everything felt too heavy to bear. Now it was his turn to be her light. The thought of seeing her weak and vulnerable on that hospital bed ignited a spark of urgency in him that he couldn't ignore. Just then, the door swung open, and a nurse stepped out, her face a blend of professionalism and empathy. "Jake, Mia's surgery is about to begin. I need your consent forms." He nodded, taking the clipboard with shaky hands. As he scribbled his name, waves of doubt, crashed over him. What if his decision was reckless? What if she rejected the transplant? A million questions bombarded his mind, but he was running out of time. Jake? A soft voice broke through his tangled thoughts. He turned to see his adoptive parents, their eyes filled with worry. "We're worried about you, about Mia." Jake felt a lump form in his throat. He had shut them out, thinking it would be easier to handle this on his own. "I just want her to be okay," he murmured, looking down at the papers in his hands. "We want that too," his mom replied, her voice trembling ever so slightly. "But you don't have to do this alone." Their concern washed over him, tugging at the protective wall he had built around his heart. Yes, he wanted to save Mia, but he didn't want to create a rift in their family. Balancing his love for Mia and the worries of his parents felt like walking a tightrope. But in that moment, looking into their worried faces, Jake realized that love wasn't a solitary venture, it was meant to be shared. "All right," he said, a newfound strength resonating within him. "Let us do this together." With that, they joined forces, gathered around the small table cluttered with papers and forms. As they talked through every step, Jake could hear the commotion of the world outside the waiting room fading away to a distant hum. In that bubble of concern and togetherness, he felt empowered. It felt right. Hours passed slowly. Each tick of the clock stretched the tension further, their shared anxiety hanging thick in the air. They shared stories, reminiscing about Mia and her goofy antics, how she always lightened the mood even in the darkest times. Jake's heart swelled with love and gratitude, not just for Mia, but also for the family that had been there for him since day one. Then, a doctor finally entered, his expression somber yet hopeful. "Mia's doing well. The transplant was successful, but it's going to be a long road ahead." Relief washed over Jake like a warm tide. But even as the tension eased, another reality settled in. They all were now part of a journey fraught with uncertainty. Healing takes time. Could they all face the challenges together? As they left the waiting room, a blend of hope and fear churned in Jake's heart. He wasn't alone anymore. The bond with his family, the love that had once felt strained, seemed stronger now. But this was just the beginning. With Mia recovering, what obstacles still awaited them? A question hung heavily in the air as they stepped out into the dimming light of day. Would their family emerge united, strengthened by their challenges? Or would the shadows of doubt pull them apart once more? The answers lingered just beyond the horizon, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. Jake sat in the quiet corner of the hospital cafeteria, staring at the uneaten sandwich in front of him. The chatter of nurses and visitors floated around him, but he felt miles away. His mind was consumed with thoughts of Mia. The doctor's hopeful words echoed in his mind, but a cloud of worry hung heavy above him. Yes, the surgery had gone well, but what about the recovery? What if complications arose? What if Mia wasn't the same? He pushed his plate away and rubbed his temples, trying to shake off the thoughts that threatened to suffocate him. Just then, a soft voice broke through his fog. "Hey, how are you holding up, Jake?" It was his mom, her eyes reflecting a concern that matched his own. Okay, I guess," he replied, somewhat dejected. "I can't stop thinking about her." She slid into the seat across from him, her hand instinctively reaching for his. "I know. It's tough. But we have to believe in her strength. You have to believe in your strength, too." Jake huffed out a half-laugh. "I don't feel strong. I just feel scared, like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. What if I'm not enough?" His mom squeezed his hand tighter. "You've done so much already. Mia is lucky to have you fighting for her." Feeling the warmth of her words, Jake swallowed hard, a lump rising in his throat. He thought of all the times Mia had picked him up. She had an uncanny way of lighting up the darkest days. Did she know how much she meant to him? He glanced up, meeting his mom's gaze, and found a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. "You're worried about being there for her," she said softly. "But remember, you're not in this alone. We're a family, Jake. We face everything together." With renewed purpose, he nodded. "You're right. This can't just be about me or Mia. We all need each other. I guess I just had to work through my fears." A smile crept onto his mother's face, and for the first time in hours, Jake felt a weight lift from his chest. They shared a comforting silence, allowing the moment to wash over them. That connection rooted in shared struggle was the light he needed. Minutes later, just when he thought peace had settled in, his dad joined them, breathless. They're letting us see Mia. Come on, hurry. Jake's heart leaped as he sprang up, following his dad through the maze of sterile hallways. Each step echoed in his ears, each second fueled by a rush of adrenaline. He felt the draw of hope and anxiety thrumming in unison, compelling him to reach his sister as they approached the room. Jake's heart thudded with each passing moment. Past the door, he could see the outline of Mia, swathed in white sheets. The beeping of the machines punctuated the quiet efforts of the nurses. His stomach twisted with uncertainty again, but as he entered, that old familiar feeling of love surged. Mia, he whispered, stepping closer. Her hair, usually bright and messy, lay flat against the pillow, but her face was peaceful. Jake, a weak voice broke through the haze of machines. Her eyes fluttered open, struggling against the heavy veil of medication. Even in this vulnerable state, she radiated the same warmth that had always drawn people to her. I'm here. You made it, he breathed, feeling tears prick his eyes. We're all here. A faint smile crept across her lips. I knew you would be. In that moment, Jake realized something profound. No matter how painful the path ahead might be, it was the bonds of love, family, and resilience that would lead them through. Mia had fought for the chance at life, and now they would fight together for what came next. But as he watched her delicate form lying there, he couldn't shake the feeling that more challenges awaited them, both for Mia and for all of them. What darkness lurked behind the corner they had yet to navigate? As the minutes stretched into hours, and the sun set outside, uncertainty loomed large. Would their familial bond hold steady in the face of the trials ahead? Or would this fight forge cracks that might break them apart? The answers felt just beyond reach, lingering in the shadows. The room felt heavy, filled with the squawking sounds of machines and the smells of antiseptic. Jake stood by Mia's side, feeling both the weight of her presence and the potential loss that loomed. Her faint smile was like a balm, soothing his frayed nerves, but he couldn't shake the nagging sense that things would never be the same. Do you remember the time we went camping? Jake asked, trying to distract himself from the tension in his chest. You got lost trying to find the bathroom in the middle of the night. Mia blinked slowly, her eyes struggling to focus, but a hint of recognition sparked in them. I thought I'd never find my way back, she replied, a ghost of a smile pulling at her lips. But I made it, right? You were waiting by the fire. Of course. I was worried sick. I thought you were eaten by a bear or something. He joked lightly, the memory warming the edges of his heart. More like I was eaten alive by mosquitoes, she chuckled softly, her voice hoarse. There was something about sharing memories that felt sacred, as if they were stitching together the pieces of a fragile bond that needed reinforcement. Just then, the door swung open and the nurse entered, her cheerful demeanor brightening the otherwise somber atmosphere. Mia, you're awake. How are you feeling? Like I went 10 rounds with a heavyweight, Mia replied, her exhaustion evident. The nurse smiled and checked the various monitors. That's expected after such a big surgery. Just focus on resting. You've got a lot of people rooting for you. Jake inhaled deeply, watching the nurse's movements. There was both reassurance and dread in her words. Was rooting enough? What if just wanting her to be okay wasn't enough to battle whatever lay ahead? As the nurse adjusted the four, Jake's heart ached at the thought of what Mia had endured and what still awaited them. What would recovery look like? What if she started to pull away, retreating into her pain? The fear gripped him, tightening its hold again. Mia, he said softly, his voice wavering. Promise you'll let me know if things get too hard. If you're feeling lost again, or, I don't know, just anything. Her smile faded just a touch, replaced with sincerity. I promise, Jake. But you've got to promise me too. No more running off to the dark corners of your mind while I'm in here. My light's not going to be smothered, right? We're a team, remember? He nodded, feeling a mix of relief and resolve. I will. I'll be right here, never leaving your side. Hours trickled by, and the sun dipped below the horizon, filling the room with a dim golden glow. It reminded Jake of those sunsets they would chase together, laughing and racing just as the last light slipped away. He wished for a moment that they could travel back to that time, before surgeries and uncertainty before any of the trials had begun. But reality crashed in when Mia's body shifted slightly in the bed. Can I ask you something? Her voice was more serious now, and the weight of her words fell heavily. Absolutely. Anything. Do you think I'll still be me when I wake up from all this? What if there's a part of me that's lost forever? Her words hung in the air, laden with vulnerability. Jake felt his heart dip. He didn't want to lie, but he also didn't want to fracture whatever hope she clung to. Mia, you are one of the strongest people I know. A surgery can change things, but it can't take away who you are. You're still the sister who saved me every day with your laughter and light. You are still Mia, he assured her, his own voice steady despite the tremors inside. Okay, I just needed to hear that. I'm scared, she confessed, tears glistening in her eyes, but there was a flicker of determination, too. And in that moment, Jake felt the draw of something deep. They weren't just fighting for her recovery. They were fighting for their relationship, their family, their love. Just then, there was a commotion outside the room. Voices raised, urgency filled the hall. Suddenly, a shadow loomed in the doorway, a figure that looked all too familiar, but twisted with a sense of purpose Jake couldn't quite pin down. His heart raced. Who was it? And what did they bring with them? Would this person challenge the very promises they were trying to uphold? Jake's pulse quickened, fear and curiosity wrestling inside him. He took a deep breath, ready for whatever was about to unfold. Would it break them, or would it bring the family even closer? Jake's eyes narrowed as he squinted into the dim light of the hallway, trying to make out the figure that stood just beyond the threshold. The tension in the room felt as thick as the antiseptic in the air. Despite everything, he felt an unsettling sense of familiarity tugging at him. Mia? The voice called, dripping with concern and a hint of urgency. It was a voice he hadn't heard in years, yet it danced across his memory like an unwelcome ghost. Is that? Mia shifted slightly in her bed, her eyes widening as she caught sight of the figure. A semblance of recognition flashed in her expression, but Jake saw something else, a flicker of apprehension beneath the surface of surprise. Carly? Mia whispered, a mix of hope and disbelief threading through her voice. Jake couldn't find the words to explain the swell of emotions coursing through him. Carly, their long-lost sister, had walked out of their lives with barely a goodbye. There had been whispers, angry words exchanged at Mom's funeral, anger etched into their family dynamics. Jake had spent years reeling from her absence, alternating between the ache of loss and the heat of betrayal. Yet here she stood, framed against the doorway, bringing the past rushing back. Can I come in? Carly hesitated, yet her eyes bore a fierce determination. Mia's breath hitched, and Jake felt a surge of protectiveness rise up within him. What do you want, Carly? He shot back, his voice sharper than he intended. You disappeared. Now you just waltz back in? Mia's voice was a gentle reminder that this moment wasn't just about their shared history. Let her in. Let her in? After everything? Jake's tone hardened. Part of him craved the closure, the answers, but another part recoiled in fear. He didn't want Mia turned into collateral damage again. Carly stepped inside tentatively, her eyes flitting around the room before settling on Mia. The soft beeping of machines filled the silence, a stark contrast to the storm that brewed between them. I heard about the surgery, she said, her voice cracking. I'm so sorry, Mia. I had to see you. Why now? Jake couldn't help himself. What are you hoping to find here? Happiness? Forgiveness? Mia placed a trembling hand on Jake's arm, her touch grounding him. Jake, just let her speak. Please. Carly's eyes glistened with unshed tears. I know I don't deserve it, but I've been thinking about you both every single day. Her voice was strained, yet there was a weight of sincerity that tugged at Jake's heart. I messed up. I thought leaving would make things easier for everyone, but I only made it harder. He wanted to scoff, to turn away from the pain that felt too fresh, like a wound unsutured. But Mia, frail as she was, looked at Carly with kindness simmering beneath the surface. You could have told us you were okay, Mia said softly. Jake and I were worried sick. I didn't know how Carly's voice trembled. But that's not why I'm here. I heard about your surgery, and it brought everything crashing back for me. I want to help. Help? Jake sneered, unable to reel in the bitterness. Where were you when our family fell apart? I was lost, okay? Carly's voice sharpened defensively. I didn't think I could help you or myself. But I've been working to put things together since I got that call. I can't sit back and do nothing anymore. Silence fell thick among them. Jake wanted to scream, to tell her it was too late for apologies and words. But then again, he couldn't dismiss the flicker of hope Mia held on to. I need to hear what you've been going through, Mia said, her fragile voice breaking through the tension, but not for me for you. We can't keep moving forward if we're still stuck in the past. Carly nodded, the fight leaving her body momentarily. I'll do anything to make it right, she promised. But Jake remained skeptical, his heart still cautious. As the siblings faced each other, a fragile thread hung in the balance, filled with tension, hope, and possibility. But would they truly be able to bridge the chasm that years had carved into their lives? Suddenly, the monitors beeped erratically, pulling Jake's focus back to what mattered most. He turned to Mia, panic flooding his veins. Are you okay? But before she could reply, darkness flickered at the edges of his vision. Something was changing, and he felt it ripple through the atmosphere. Instinct tugged at him, ready to defend whatever was left of their fragile family. Would the past prove to be a curse or a path to healing? And how would Mia navigate this sudden turn of events? Jake's heart raced as blaring alarms filled the room, drowning out every other sound. The monitors surrounding Mia began to light up like a frantic firework display, each beep and were sharpening the air with urgency. He turned back to her, his eyes wide, searching desperately for signs that she was okay. She was everything to him, and seeing her struggle made his own chest feel tight. Mia, he shouted, his voice hoarse. She could hardly respond, her face paling as the alarms grew louder. He reached for her hand, clutching it tightly, feeling the warmth beneath fingers that were starting to tremble. Stay with me. Just breathe. Carly stood frozen against the wall, her face etched in panic. What is happening? She asked, the resolve that had marked her entrance completely evaporating. Just hold on. Jake snapped at her, returning his focus to Mia. His heart felt too big, too tight in his chest, as if it might burst from the weight of everything, the secrets, the longing, the feared. Mia's eyes reflected a turmoil. Jake, I'm okay, she managed to whisper, though her voice was barely above a breath, cracking like glass. Jake desperately searched her face for truth, for the promise that everything would be okay. But the chaos around them grew, and suddenly, the room was filled with rushing nurses and doctors. They rushed in with urgency that felt foreign, separating him from Mia, pushing him back. Out of the way, please, one of them ordered, and he felt the sting of panic surging in his veins. No. Jake resisted, wanting nothing more than to be by her side. He tried to force his way back, but strong hands held him back. Mia, he shouted again, feeling a wave of helplessness wash over him. He turned to Carly, who was vibrating with unspent energy. What are you doing? Help. Do something. Carly's lips trembled, her own emotions grappling for control. I don't know, I can't, she admitted, her facade cracking. Jake's adrenaline-fueled desperation gave way to rage. You think it's enough just to stroll back in after years? What have you done for us? You left, and now we need you. But before Carly could respond, a doctor turned back to him. You need to step back, sir, he said, his voice firm but compassionate. Why? The question burst out of Jake, raw and unfiltered. He felt the walls of uncertainty crashing in on him. Why can't I stay? Because we have to help her, the doctor answered, sincere eyes meeting Jake's, slicing through the chaos with a single, comforting truth. What felt like an eternity of chaos reigned in the room, but something sparked in that moment. Despite his fear, he realized that Mia had fought against every obstacle. She was still here, still breathing, still fighting. Whatever Carly's return might mean, they needed to focus on what mattered most now. As the medical team moved deftly, Jake caught a glimpse of Mia's hand, still clasped in his, albeit weaker. You promised, Mia. Just hold on for me, he said, and he felt a resolve solidifying within him. Carly stood not far off, her eyes glistened with a mix of regret and hope, hovering between sorrow for the past and the desire to step into their present. Mia, Carly called out suddenly, stepping closer as her voice cracked. I'm here. I won't let you go again. Jake didn't know what would happen next. Would Carly truly keep that promise? Could they emerge from this storm together, or would the shadows of the past consume them? In that critical moment, as the alarms faded and the medical team worked frantically, they found themselves teetering on the edge of a fragile new beginning. But would it be enough to knit their broken family together once more? The sound of philosophical healing filled the air, drawing the line between the past's burden and a future rekindled. As the lights flashed and the chaos continued, the door swung open, revealing an unexpected visitor, someone Jake had long hoped would stay a ghost in their lives. Would this startling comeback change everything again, or was it merely another twist in their already tangled story? The tension in the air shifted like the sudden weight of a storm cloud. As the door burst open, Jake's heart sank further into his chest. There, framed in the doorway, stood Ethan, Mia's estranged brother. His presence crackled with unspoken words and emotions held back for far too long. Mia? Ethan's voice was a blend of shock and determination. Jake's instincts flared up. This was not the time for family reunions. He took a step forward, muscles tightening, ready to shield Mia from whatever turmoil Ethan might bring back with him. That's enough, Jake shouted, his voice rising above the chaos. You have no right to be here. The words felt like a physical blow, but they were fueled by fear, raw, visceral fear. He had fought so hard to keep Mia safe. Ethan's expression faltered, just for a moment. I know I messed everything up, he conceded, stepping further inside, intent on Mia. But I'm here now. I can help her. He pushed through the cluster of doctors and nurses, but Jake's hand shot out to his chest. You think you can just waltz back in? After everything you put her through? Ethan's eyes burned with pain. This is bigger than me, Jake. Mia needs us both, he replied, urgency lacing his words. Us both? Jake countered, incredulous. You walked away when she needed you most. You abandoned her. Mia didn't just need me, Ethan said, voice low but firm. She needed you too. We all need each other. Please. His gaze fell on Mia, still struggling against the lights above her. She deserves a chance. For a split second, Jake felt the ground beneath him tremble. A flicker of hope fought against the storm in his heart. What if Ethan was right? What if combining their strengths could save her? Yet the remnants of bitter feelings lingered thick in the air. Mia's been through so much. She doesn't need drama. She needs stability, Jake said, gripping Ethan's shirt. If you really care about her, prove it. Stay out of the way. Just then, Mia's whimper broke through the noise, her voice just a whisper. Jake, please. He turned, fear twisting his gut. Her eyes clouded, yet filled with the fight that had always survived within her. I can't do this without everyone. I need you both. Jake's heart thundered painfully. No, he shouted, but beneath it all, a part of him knew she was right. They were all connected through pain, history, love. If Mia wanted them together, how could he deny her? A nurse approached, breaking the moment. We're losing her. Jake's stomach dropped like a stone. What? No, not Mia. Movement around him felt like slow motion. Everything else faded. Ethan, Carly, all of it. It was only Jake and Mia. He took her hand tighter, pumping warmth into that fragile connection. Fight, Mia. Fight for us, he implored, voice raw with desperation. We can fix this. We'll do it together. I promise. Suddenly, Ethan stepped forward, his own hands trembling as he clasped hers too. Whatever you thought about me, I'm here now. We'll do this together, he echoed, looking at Jake with fierce intent. Their breaths collided, a shared determination igniting the air. It was messy, complicated, and fraught with uncertainty, but there, in that sterile room, a new kind of strength formed, the kind that stems from acknowledging their shared past while desperately fighting for the future. As the room pulsed with urgency, Jake looked at Mia, hopeful but terrified. Would this reunion be enough to rally them around her, or would it fracture under the weight of their shared burdens? Jake watched as the medical team prepared to take action. Time felt like it had slipped through his fingers, but he knew one truth above all else. They needed to act now, before it was too late. Just as the chaos began to settle, a new alarm rang out, louder than all the rest, signaling another crisis. Could they come together in time, or had fate dealt them an even darker hand? The alarm blared through the sterile room, a shrill warning that sent chills down Jake's spine. The doctors sprang into action, voices rising urgently as they prepared for a critical procedure. Each shout, each hurried movement intensified the swirling turmoil in Jake's gut. He squeezed Mia's hand tighter, desperately trying to cling to the warmth of her skin, grounded by the touch. Mia, stay with us, a doctor urged, as the lights over her flickered ominously. Jake could see Mia's chest rise and fall, a fragile rhythm that felt like it was fading right before him. The anxiety boiled over, suffocating as he fought to maintain his composure. "Don't you dare leave us, Mia," Jake murmured, eyes locked on her fading smile. "You're stronger than this." Ethan stood beside him, his fingers wrapped around Mia's other hand. The familiar face of her brother ached with unspoken tension, a man who had turned away when she needed him months ago, now pleading for a different outcome. There were so many years of hurt buried beneath this moment, yet something shifted in Jake. He could feel Ethan's determination, raw and exposed. It mirrored his own. "Mia, listen to our voices," Ethan said, his tone urgent yet soft. "We're here now. We're not going anywhere. Just fight for us." The doctor raised the stethoscope to her heart, the faint sounds echoing like a ticking clock, counting down the seconds they had left. Then came a breakthrough. The rhythmic beeping stuttered but held steady. A fragile light illuminated Mia's face, as though she was fighting to return to them. It was a flicker of hope. "Jake?" Mia managed, her voice faint but filled with an unyielding spirit. "Ethan, it's really you?" Jake glanced at Ethan, the brother she had pushed away, and wondered if they could be more than strangers battling over her past. Perhaps this moment could redefine them. Past pain could find a way to clear. "Yes, Mia. I'm here," Ethan replied, his voice cracking under the weight of emotion. "I'm not leaving again, I promise." "Together. All three of us," Jake added, letting his heart spill the truth as tears threatened to fall. "I can finally see it now. You don't have to choose. You never did." A sudden, chaotic rumble filled the room as a nurse shouted out commands. Mia's heart rate faltered again, and Jake felt the world around him start to tilt. "No, not again," Jake exclaimed, panic surging through him. In one swift movement, the doctor leaned over them, focused and resolute. "We need to get her stabilized." Everyone stepped back. The team commanded, their focus narrowing like a laser, and Jake's body wanted to rebel against their orders. "Stay close," he thought, "stay close to her." But as the medical team worked feverishly, Jake found himself on the outskirts, watching helpless. Fear clawed at him, a panicked creature lurking within his chest. His eyes locked onto Mia's, and in that instant, he swore he could feel her fighting, pushing back against the grip of despair. The alarm blared again, signaling another round of impending chaos. And just when he thought he couldn't bear the tension any longer, Ethan turned to him. "Jake, this is it. We can't let her go. We need to focus on the love we have for her, not the past." Jake's breath caught. In that moment, he felt the weight of their shared responsibility settle between them. It was time to confront not only their regrets but the love they all held for Mia, that unbreakable bond forged out of necessity, hurt, and an unyielding wish to fight. As dread and hope entwined, the unmistakable strength of both men surrounded Mia. But would it be enough? Would their bond triumph when it mattered most? With the tension crackling, Jake felt a shift within him. This was their time to rise from the ashes and fight together. Would they lean on each other and honor Mia's wish, or crumble under the pressure? Just then, the door burst open again, and a figure appeared this time, the last person Jake ever expected. What revelation lay ahead, and could it tip the balance in their favor? The figure that stumbled into the room was unmistakable: Claire, Mia's childhood friend, the one who had always been there through the good and the bad. Claire's face was pale, her eyes wide with a mix of shock and determination. The sounds of medical machinery faded slightly as she rushed forward, breaking the tense atmosphere with her presence. "Claire?" Jake blinked, his throat tight. "What are you doing here?" "I got a call. I just came as soon as I could," she gasped, her voice shaking. "Is Mia? Is she okay?" Jake's heart sank again with uncertainty as he shared a glance with Ethan. Neither had the words. But Claire didn't wait for an answer. She marched straight to Mia's side, gently pushing aside Jake's hand to take Mia's fingers into her own. "Mia, it's Claire. I'm here. You need to fight. Remember all those times we said we'd conquer everything together?" Claire's voice wavered as she blinked back tears. "This is just another moment, and you can make it through." Mia's eyelids fluttered, a tiny signal of her struggle. The weight of the moment felt heavier, the stakes higher. Jake saw the shift as Claire's words seemed to spark something deep inside Mia. He could almost believe that the love shared between them had broken through the fear lingering in the room. "Stay with us, Mia," Ethan echoed, nudging closer to her. "We're right here," the doctor returned, glancing toward the trio with a guarded expression. "We need everyone to remain calm. This is crucial," she said, her voice clipped but commanding. Jake turned to Claire. "Do you think she can sense us? Do you think she knows we're all here together?" Claire nodded, her determination growing. "I believe she can. We're her people. We've always been. Just keep reminding her." Jake squeezed Mia's hand again, his heart pounding with every passing second. She had always been the glue holding their lives together. In the darkness that surrounded them, they fought for her. Each whispered promise, each shared memory illuminated the depths of their hearts. The team continued to work more frantically, the light from the machines casting eerie shadows that danced in the corners of the room. But amidst the chaos, Jake could feel a flicker of warmth. The bond between friends and family ignited again. Suddenly, the alarms shrilled again, cutting through the air as the monitor began to flatline. "No, please, don't," Claire gasped, clenching her fists. "Hold on," Ethan shouted, his voice raw. He leaned closer to Mia. "You can't leave us like this. Not now. We have so much left to do." The doctor moved back into action, barking commands, and Jake felt the room spinning once more. His panic rose, tightening like a noose around his throat. This time, however, he didn't just fight for himself. He fought for her, for Ethan, and for Claire. As if on cue, a sudden surge of energy rippled through the room, and Mia's eyes fluttered open. What was happening? She gasped, barely able to form the words. Jake's heart soared. "You're coming back to us, Mia. We're all here." In that configuration of light and shadow, something shifted. The air felt charged with purpose. It was a call to arms, not just against the fate that threatened them, but against the divisions that had kept them at odds for so long. But before anyone could breathe a sigh of relief, the door opened again, revealing another unexpected figure, one that could twist this fragile moment into something neither of them anticipated. What truths would emerge now, and how would they redefine their bond? The door swung open, and in walked another ghost of their past, Uncle Larry, the family patriarch who once seemed to hold all the answers, but had vanished just when they needed him most. The lines of age and sorrow marked his face, and beneath his gruff exterior, a father's unshakable love simmered just beneath the surface. "Mia?" he said, mouth dry as sandpaper, eyes darting around the room. All the unresolved family tension hung in the air like an overcast sky, threatening rain at any moment. "What is going on?" Jake felt the tension rise again. "You left us when we were falling apart, Uncle Larry, and now you show up? You can't just swoop back in like nothing happened." But something about the way Larry moved, the way he fixated on Mia, whispered of regret. I know I messed up, but I heard about her surgery. I had to come." In the swirl of emotions, Jake again felt pressure building in his chest. Larry had always been a figure of strength, but had chosen to disappear when their family needed him most. Now, how could he step into this chaos? "Save it," Jake snapped. "We're trying to keep her alive," he said, directing his words at the medical team, whose work seemed increasingly frantic. Larry's presence threw another log on the fire, making it roar hotter and more unpredictable. "Mia," Larry's voice broke through, earnest and pleading. "You can do this. You've always been the fighter. I know you." Mia's eyelids fluttered again, and for a moment, the clamor faded. It was only the sound of her breaths, heavy yet determined. I can't do this alone," she gasped, and Jake felt his heart slam against his ribcage. "Yes, you can. We're all here," he insisted, squeezing her hand tighter. "You don't have to fight alone. You have all of us." Claire leaned closer, urgency wreathing her voice. "Mia, remember our adventures? How we always found our way back to the campfire in the dark. You have to fight for that light." The sensitivity of the moment wrapped around them. Jake looked around. Ethan's expression mirrored his own, a mix of uncertainty and hope. And as they all focused on Mia, even Uncle Larry seemed to melt into the background, allowing the warmth of their shared love to take control. The medical team continued to operate, and through the fresh chaos, something shifted visibly. The monitors began responding, a tentative rhythm building like the soft thumping of a heartbeat returning to consistency. "Mia," Jake breathed, all the love and pain boiling into a laser focus. "We believe in you." Their voices mingled together, a powerful echo that bounced off the walls of their fragmented existence, stitching them closer despite the uncertainties they each held. For the first time since this whirlwind began, the air felt light, almost magical. Suddenly, Mia's eyes widened as she caught sight of them all around her. "You really came?" She smiled, though it was weak, her voice barely above a whisper. Tears burned in Jake's eyes, and he felt every wound, every smile that had made life worth living flood back, catching him off guard. "We always will," he declared, feeling the collective strength pressing in, sheltering her from the storm that had chased them for so long. In that moment, Jake finally understood that love could mend the cracks and reconnect the scars. While the past stalked their shadows, it wouldn't define them. Not anymore. As Mia's breathing steadied, a powerful surge of unity radiated among them, family woven back together by scars, love, and renewed hope. Minutes passed like hours, but the tension began to unravel as the monitors began to beep consistently. Finally, a doctor stepped forward, eyes bright with cautious optimism. "She's stable." We turned a corner. A collective sigh of relief rushed through the room as fresh hope engulfed them like a warm embrace. Jake's heart swelled, laughter bubbling up as tears spilled over. In the haze of chaotic recovery, Mia looked up, her gaze strong. Together, she whispered, locking eyes with each face surrounding her older brother, estranged sibling, childhood friend, and uncle. "We'll face whatever comes next. I'm never letting go of any of you again." The bonds they formed erased the shadows of uncertainty. They were forged through pain, resilience, and, most importantly, love. And as the lights of the machines glowed steadily around them, Jake knew without a doubt that they had overcome for now what life had thrown their way. With a soft smile, Jake raised his head high, an embrace of hope wrapping around all of them. Perhaps they were weathered, perhaps they had their scars, but they were a family. And as they stepped out into the bright light of the new day waiting for them, Jake felt the weight lift completely. Now, it was time to write the next chapter of their lives together. But just before exiting, he felt a pull at his heart, a reminder that this story deserved to continue, mastered and forged anew. And for those who had followed along, they, too, had a role in this journey. So don't wait another second. You need to subscribe now to catch the next chapter of their incredible journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep hearing these life-changing stories. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Your support matters. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this kind of transformation in their lives. The moments we share ripple outwards, and together, we can inspire and uplift each other. Don't let this chance pass you by.